Alec here, and I want to share some of my frustrations with you guys that I've experienced being an entrepreneur. One of it is we actually often come up with weird and wacky ideas as entrepreneurs, and often those lead that you have to actually separate them into different companies. Like for instance, I've got two companies called Acactic Fitness, which is a fitness ideas we have, and there we build fitness equipment in South Africa. And then I've got my BI, which is an app-related business for Pastel Partner and Pastel Express and Sage50 Cloud, where we develop automation apps. Okay, so those are two ideas, and we actually had to separate them to two companies. Now, that's where I find it quite difficult sometimes to manage from, because I've got two environments that I have to manage on a day-to-day basis. So it's quite difficult for me to navigate between the two quickly. If I have to go into my one set of management accounts and BI environments, and then close and open the other one, and I ultimately often have to do both at kind of like the same time, or from short intervals from each other. So that makes it quite complicated to deal with it. Okay, so what we've developed is something called my consolidate, which takes multiple Pastel databases and it actually consolidates or aggregates it into one BI app environment. Okay, now that makes it very nice to slice and dice between the lot, and then managing multiple businesses from one environment. Okay, so we can actually aggregate or consolidate up to 10 or even more databases into one. Just depends on how big those databases are, because ultimately our apps run in Excel. So that means that at a stage when it runs over, let's say, 500,000 rows of data, you sometimes would want to separate them, just because it becomes quite slow for that process to run within Excel. But except for that very, very powerful way to manage multiple businesses. I'm going to show you how we did that. Okay, this is called a WOW group. And within this environment, I've now consolidated two environments, two Pastel databases. So this works as an off-the-shelf app for Pastel Partner, Pastel Express, or Sage50 Cloud. And it automates this process and brings it into this powerful environment. Okay, so here on the right-hand side, you can see the consolidation consists of two. This is a demo database, so we're just going to call it Goods Pty Limited and Services Pty Limited. But it has a nice amount of transactions in it. This actually overall it's got about 23,000 lines of transactions. So very nice set of data for us to demo for you guys. Okay, so here we've got those two companies. We can even also slice within each company. We can slice down to branch level if that's something you do actually use within your Pastel. Just remember now, if you use your account number structure, for instance, you can actually say that everything that ends with the number 010 is branch 1 and 020 is branch 2, and then you can go and actually allocate those accounts. You can map them in and they will come through to branch level. So you can also do that, which makes it quite nice if you have, for instance, shops, or you have a franchise and those, have a business with 7 of the shops and another business with 8 of the shops. You can actually also go down to the shop level and report on those shops. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so let's go firstly to just an overview. This is the dashboard, and this tells us a bit about these two environments. Okay, firstly, what we can see from here, we can see there are 23,000 lines of data within this environment. Okay, and the GL. Okay, and it's in balance. Okay, and then it shows us a bit of the actual balance sheet overview picture. It says to us there are 1, 2, 3 liabilities to equity. There you can see the assets. This is called the wheel, which we refer to as the day-to-day operational wheel. From quotation, there's more a sales kind of environment. Quotes, how many quotes we have open, how many customers in the database, then how many sales orders and purchase orders are open, so you know your exposure and what you need to actually give out to your customer base, and then the amount of suppliers. And this is your current month-to-date income statement. Okay, this is your working capital bubbles. So now we can manage from this little picture. I can say, well, what is it? What does my databases look like today? But this is a consolidated picture. So now if I quickly want to go to goods, I just click through to goods and it says, okay, this is the picture. I've got a completely different balance sheet here. My working capital looks different. Inventory is there. There's debtors, there's creditors, etc. There's some VAT. And here's the picture on my actual trends on sales over the last few years actually that this database is open for and we're looking at. Then we can go to services. We quickly look at service and say, okay, this is the trends of services. It looks different again, and this is the working capital cycles of that services business, etc., etc. And I can even go down and say, well, let me, put everything in, but I want to see what it looked like for the last, 2 months. There we go, and there we go. That's 2 months versus 2 months, June and May last year. Then we can actually now slice that way. Now I just want to see for services, and now I just want to see for goods. You can see. So it actually gives you a nice overview and reflection and a grip of that data. Okay. So now if we go through to something like just a balance sheet, you'll see that the balance sheet is very normal. It balances to zero. It's got a lot of functionality, but what's great about it is your ability to go and see months, for instance. You can say, just show me the months in the month-to-month movement and give me more depth on property, plant, and equipment, and give me more depth on something like, trade debtors. Okay, what's under trade debtors? Okay, under this customer control account, there's provision for doubtful debt, etc. And we can see all the details are actually now reflected within a nice click of a button. Okay, but you can also, I just want to roll up here again. You can also actually take it up and say, well, I want to see what services looks like. So here you'll see services, show months, hide months. There it packs it for us nicely again. That's the services business, and this is the goods business. Okay, so just show months, hide months, and there immediately you can see everything coming in, and you can actually see each business on its own. Okay, so this often is quite nice to see in an income statement. Here you can see the income statement. Okay, so the income statements are built quarters, and you can see months. So you'll see this is quite a wide income statement. It actually goes to 2021. It's a very wide picture. It's much wider than what you'll get in Pastel itself. We can go up to 5 years. So here you got year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 actually in one picture. And you can now again slice and say, what does services look like and what does goods look like, just to get yourself, a better picture and grip of each database of each of your businesses, whilst you can also see the overall picture. And then obviously you can also go and you can actually drill down to any environment immediately and say, well, I want to see what actually is reflected under, any of these amounts. Show me anything under that zero. What is it made up of? Now, remember, any amount you can double click on and actually comes, and that's where it's great for audit purposes. It actually shows you the transactions that have built up that exact number. So you can see we said to ourselves on a date stamp, 28th of the 7th at 14:15, 15 minutes past 2, we drilled on the zero, and here we go. There is 23,064 lines, transaction rows of data. So we've actually now shown that, well, ultimately we have, to build up that zero, we've got 23,000 rows of transaction, and it deals with it very quickly. If you export it from Excel, from Pastel into Excel, it's extremely slow, but this is literally seconds. You can deal with so much more volumes of data within a BI and a data handling environment like my BI. Okay. So then some of the other things you can also nicely, go over. There's tons of other BI environments here that says to you, give me my top items, my top purchased item, my top sales items, give me my open quotes, top customers, top suppliers, give me my journals, what journals did I post, and tons more. So just wanted to show you guys a quick overview of how powerful something like My Consolidate is for an entrepreneur with multiple businesses. It really does help me, and I hope you guys have found this valuable, and perhaps you can find it useful. This is an off-the-shelf app, so there's no development required. But basically, you can just you can just switch it on your environment or environments. So let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.